And last night, Rob, while we were on the air, the Bengals and the Ravens were playing. Ravens end up winning 34-20, but the big loss was Joe Burrow, quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals, widely regarded as, I think, the second best quarterback in the league. And by many, he's that. At the very least, he's viewed as a top 3, a top 5 quarterback. But he's out. He injured his wrist, tore ligaments in his wrist, and he is now out for the season, Rob. And we talked about it yesterday, a loss. Neither one of us thought a loss, as many did, that a loss would eliminate them from the playoffs, not mathematically, but essentially. But I would imagine you're with me in that without Joe Burrow, with him out for the season, they're done. That's my thinking. Are you ready to write them off, or you still think they could get in the playoffs?
Yeah, I think it's going to be just about impossible. I mean, I know people said and counted out the Minnesota Vikings when they lost Jefferson, and then Kirk Cousins lost both of them, Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins, and so people thought they were done. They've only won 5 in a row. I don't know if Browning is in the same class or is going to be able to hold that together, Chris. It doesn't look like that. Yeah, it doesn't look like that. So if you're a Cincinnati,
Jake Browning, their backup quarterback. Yeah.
Yes, not the late Tom Browning, who used to pitch for the Reds, who I got to know. If you're a Cincinnati guy, a Cincinnati fan, you can't be that happy. You basically are looking at it and thinking your season's over. And it's disappointing because he's been hurt a lot. He's been hurt a lot, Chris. He was hurt his first year. He's been hurt before. It always seems like there's something. He's, started this year hurt, Chris. They lost their first couple games. He started last year hurt. What do you have, an appendectomy last year, right? And
missed training camp
and started off, I think they started off 0-2 last year as well because he just
They've
wasn't
been 5-4 the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And they were able to survive it the last 2.
Well, last year they won their last 7, got to the AFC Championship game, lost by 3, on that call on the sidelines. I mean, so they've been close, and then they went to the Super Bowl. It's been incredible, to be honest. But, yeah, this looks bad for the Bengals and Bengals Nation.
You bring up Minnesota, and a lot of people did write them off. I didn't think they'd make the playoffs anyway going into the season.
They could win the division
so
if they keep playing.
When Detroit's out to a nice little start. But the NFC is a different animal. It's just not – it's top-heavy. The teams at the top are as good as anybody in the league for the most part. But it's not deep. And the AFC is nothing if not deep. And Rob, there were going to be challenges. If Joe Burrow were healthy, we talked about it yesterday, because they are winless in the division, now 0-3, because they are, I believe, 1-4 in the AFC. Like, they weren't going to win any tiebreakers. So they were going to have to win out. So it would have been tough even with Joe Burrow. Without him, I think they're done. Some people might say, well, look, the Steelers have a backup quarterback. Not a backup, I'm sorry, Kenny Pickett starting, but, he's not playing very well. The Browns have a backup quarterback for Deshaun Watson. They even, Rob, have reached out to Joe Flacco. So that tells you how desperate and dire their quarterback situation is. And now the Bengals have a backup quarterback. So they might say, well, nobody's writing off the Steelers and the Browns, but those two defenses, I believe, are better than Cincinnati's, certainly Cleveland's. And Cleveland also has a tremendous run game, even without Nick Chubb. So I think that the Bengals are in deep trouble and will not make the playoffs. You mentioned Burrow being injury prone, and hopefully, Rob, this does not hold back his career success, because he is great. But part of it is you got to be able to stay healthy. And you look at all the greats, and they were able to stay healthy. There are some that feel like the Bengals have kind of mismanaged Joe Burrow's injuries this season. Are you in that line of thought or not?
I don't know what the details are yet in order to really make that evaluation. I mean, obviously, when your starting quarterback gets hurt, I just don't know, like, which one is related to. Is this a new injury, Chris? Does this have anything to do with it? This is a wrist injury that happened during the game. I don't know if that has anything to do with what happened to start the season.
Well, not to start the season.
Right.
The calf.
I'm just saying.
I mean, that's fine.
Right. That's what I'm saying. A wrist injury is just, I
mean, remember yesterday Wednesday he showed up in Baltimore with something on his wrist that people took to mean he might be injured. The NFL is actually investigating that. And he said himself, Rob, that it was nothing. Just something he wears occasionally.
I thought it was
the first time he done it. He wears
funky
it to
Afghan
keep swelling
on
down
his
or
arm.
something like that.
No?
Nah, it wasn't an Afghan. But I think they've been fine. It's football. You're gonna play through pain. You're gonna play through, bruises and bumps. The calf injury was kind of a freakish thing. He's just rolling out in practice, and he injured his calf. People said, "Oh,
nobody touched him.
He had a sleeve on his calf. That shoulder was banged up." I mean, you're going through training camp. They're going to be sore at times. You don't sit down every time something bothers you. And then, Rob, like you said, he played through the calf injury, and now he's fine. He's been fine for the last 3 weeks or so. No signs of, the calf bothering him. Not tonight, not last night either. And then the wrist, even if it was sore or swollen, I mean, again, Rob, NFL players play through stuff like that. Patrick Mahomes, we've seen play through ankle injuries. We've seen Travis Kelce this year has played through ankle injuries. Tom Brady played a whole season on a torn MCL. Phillip Rivers played a playoff game on a torn ACL. Justin Herbert, Rob, last year played the whole season with broken ribs. I mean, this is the NFL. You're in the pain business. It's kind of like a boxer. He's going to have to fight half of that fight hurt, and in pain. And so obviously there's times you are too hurt to play, and we certainly respect that. But every little bump and bruise, come on, guys play